So you want to hike the second highest point in Ontario, eh?
Definitely better than Ishpatina Ridge. A lot sketchier though.
Well, there's 3 fairly close access points, but you're gonna need a boat. The first way, and probably the most common way, is to start at Mowats Landing, work your way up the Lady Evelyn River and across Lady Evelyn Lake, which is a really windy lake. I'm just gonna warn you of that right now. Although this trip only involves one easy portage around the dam just above Mowats Landing. This is about a 60-kilometer round trip, and typically for a trip like that I would recommend about 3 days if the stars align, but it's Lady Evelyn, and I'd highly recommend you allow yourself at least 4 or 5 days since the wind is rarely to never in your favor on Lady Evelyn.
Nobody's happy right now.
If you do encounter strong winds on Lady Evelyn, you have the opportunity to paddle through Sugar Lake Conservation Reserve, which offers you a bit of refuge from the wind, although it does involve adding several portages to your trip. The struggle with Lady Evelyn often rewards you with beautiful sunsets over Maple Mountain. The second option is to put in on Ferguson Bay on Lake Temagami and paddle up through a chain of lakes, bringing you to Maple Mountain. This option only involves 3 portages, but you would have to do them twice to successfully complete the route. Although they're all pretty easy.
Portage has been pretty easy. Not the usual Temagami beatdown that we're used to.
The put in on Ferguson Bay offers its own set of hiking trails, and I'd highly recommend allowing an extra day or 2 just to check those out. One of the great things about this option is that it offers you several different routes you can take. It just depends how many portages you want to do, but all of them loop back to Ferguson Bay. The last option, and probably the most challenging route, will be to put in on Gamble and paddle down till you meet up with the Lady Evelyn River, follow that down to Willow Island Lake, and then work your way up to Maple Mountain. Although I wouldn't recommend this route unless you're very experienced with river travel, as it is a very grueling river and the portages are a nightmare. The waterfalls and views along the way do make this somewhat appealing, but just be prepared and allow yourself a lot of time if you're going to tackle this route. Since it does involve 18 portages, which would have to be done again on your return trip as well as upriver travel. It would be possible to do this section as a point-to-point and take out at either the other locations that I mentioned, but it would require a shuttle. No matter which route you take, I would recommend looping back through the Lady Evelyn River, as it offered the most beautiful section of waterfalls I've ever encountered. Just allow yourself an extra few days for this section because the portages are brutal.
Oh, I see it. Definitely not as obvious as the spot for Ishpatina Ridge. It's a little tricky to find, but if you follow the shoreline, you will find it.
Keep your eyes out for the portage sign. Would be the worst portage ever, probably, if it was actually a portage. Now all we have to do is make it to the top. What can stop us now?
Deep and dry feet. John Paul and his snake. Gonna keep him?
Yeah. That's where you were going, buddy.
John Paul literally just made a comment to find him a moose, and we spotted moose tracks in the mud. Looks like it's heading up to the top too. I think we're taking our shoes off for this section. It must be higher than when they built the bridge because the bridge sinks. Nona tested it out for us, did a great job. Going back over the bridge, Nona? Yeah, it doesn't float. Ooh, that's cold. I'm scared to step on that and have it slide. Okay, it's not too bad. Doesn't work as intended though.
You shall not pass.
Maple Mountain is still throwing everything it's got at us. That's for sure. We're doing it though. Might as well just give up. Well, at least we're finally gaining some altitude. So far, I'm gonna say the Maple Mountain hike is a lot less well traveled than the Ishpatina Ridge. It is a bit harder to follow, tighter trails and stuff, and a lot of trees and obstacles on it. The trail is still fairly obvious, unless we're following the wrong trail. We're definitely hitting some steeper sections now. Probably steeper than anything on the Ishpatina Ridge hike. The Ishpatina Ridge hike has some sections that are fairly steep, but they're not really a boulder garden like this is. And they're probably only like a 30-degree slope. I'm gonna call this close to a 45. No! This part of the trail just has you following a little stream and probably getting wet feet.
Oh, probably.
They're wet? We're getting pretty close to the summit, but we're running out of oxygen. We're contemplating turning back. If I don't make it, you guys can eat me.
Okay.
I'll taste delicious.
Meat's that on the menu, boy.
We got a huge wall of granite ahead of us though. Not sure how we're surmounting that. And we reached a ladder. That's how we surmount the granite wall.
Gonna freak out. Go up.
Holy crap, man. There's our site.
Hey, that's Betty's hole.
Yep, pretty sweet view. Definitely better than Ishpatina Ridge. A lot sketchier though. At the top of Maple Mountain. Holy crap. This is technically lower than Ishpatina Ridge. It's a much nicer view. Not as many blueberries though. Ishpatina Ridge is pretty good too, but yeah, after being up here, it has nothing on Maple Mountain. This is just spectacular. Oh God, after multiple failed attempts, we finally made it. Feels good.
If hiking the second highest point in Ontario isn't enough for you, then check out my video on how to hike the highest point in Ontario, Ishpatina Ridge. Now get out there for some adventures of your own. They're waiting for you.